So, yes, this is a review of Star Trek Picard Episode 9, Et In Arcadia Part 1. I don't know why they just don't air Part 1 and Part 2 here. First of all, Cillian Saga TMS voyages, some of the Cillian stories that were published last year, had a whole story about a planet, sort of a desolate planet with some life forms called Far Out, with a crashed Borg cube on the planet. Also, we have a bizarre idyllic society similar to that, and similar to the TMS cult in the story. And then we come to Arcadia, which has orchid ships flying around, and androids, synth. And we have, using a name from a number of other things, Arcadia, Resident Evil, and Mass Effect. And yeah, so now we have Et In Arcadia. Yes. So they tried for, at the end of the last episode, the La Serena was being chased by the Romulan ship that somehow tracked them again. Well, they knew where they were going, I guess, but they didn't think to attack them later. They they go to the planet. The ship attacks them, but then the defenses from the planet to detect another ship, and there is the Borg cube, which Seven is in control of. And Seven, basically, well, sort of in control of. The cube crashes along with the La Serena. The La Serena crew then must get out and go find the other one. Apparently they've captured the Narek, who was beamed aboard before his ship blew up. They captured him. But we don't see him until a little later. Then we have some dialogue that seems out of place, unless it was a TMS story, and they just stopped to talk. We have... that's right out of Marshall Sporty's stories. That's what they do. They talk. So they go to a Marshall Sporty's planet, similar to Far Out. Yeah, so... Was this a Cal Cat one? Maybe. But, yeah, there are no lightning storms on the planet during this story, oddly enough. They mentioned killer fungus for some reason, which, yeah, I guess that's a reference to something else. Maybe to the fungi from Discovery. So, yeah, and then they discuss that Jurati had killed Maddox. They discuss Soji being possibly the destroyer. They continue along in their walk. Apparently they left the prisoner on the ship or something. I don't know. Then they have a transition that's a plot hole because there's no transition. They're just there. They go to the base, and after they go to the cube, they rescue Elnor and Seven, and then everybody heads out. Like a whole bunch of them head out. Assuming there was a scene that was cut in which they brought Narek out of the brig and brought him with them. They go to the alien city, and they meet up with a human who looks like Brent Spiner. This is Brent Spiner. But this is clever of them. They said, oh, he's actually Noonien Sung's biological son. Would be grandson at this point, but let's say son. And they never mentioned, and he was there with Maddox on the planet in secret because of the band. Now, in the if we're behaving like this is a version of the Cillian universe, which we kind of are, this is the mirror universe where the synths were banned, whereas the other universe, Discovery, the synths weren't banned, so they're okay over there in Discovery. That's another timeline. Which means that, yeah, Riker's son would also be alive, or he wouldn't have one. But yeah, so all that other stuff, which isn't connected to this. We go to the planet, and because it's so much like the Cillian stories, it's like literally on the same wavelength. But it's not technically Star Trek. It's kind of its own thing. It's borrowing from other stuff. They try to throw in the human optimism and stuff, and the refugee robots, that stuff, and Arcadia is a girl in it who looks kind of like Data, golden skin and stuff, and eyes. And she apparently is. She and her other golden skin friend are kind of naive, I guess, but also in charge or something. And yeah, it's kind of unclear. They put Narek in the brig, presumably, because you see him later in the brig. On the planet. There's a prison on the planet. They have a prison on the planet, which is weird. The male ones appear to have like to walk around shirtless. I thought at first it was the Mud's women planet, which would have been kind of cool to like reference classic Trek and have it say like, okay, they're on the planet where Harry Mudd found all those androids, and that's where Soong went. That would have been kind of cool. I don't think they're doing that here in this case, though. They're referencing the First Federation in the sense. The Arcadia reads the mind of the girl, Girardi. She can mind meld. Apparently, she's not a Vulcan, but she can mind meld. I didn't think you could do that if you weren't a Vulcan. But McCoy carried Spock's Katra, so maybe you can. Yeah, and she reads her mind and determines that the synth warning from the admonition was actually not a warning, but a release. It was a revelation, not a warning, in a way. So they're actually saying that there's synth guardians guarding the universe. The Q, maybe, possibly. There don't seem to be any Q in the mirror universe, so it's probably the Q, or it's V'ger, which would be interesting. Which would also be Cillian. Yeah. If it's V'ger, or if it's the amusement park planet kind of thing going on. Which Far Out is one of them. Yeah. So yeah, in a way, it's one of them. In a way, the whole Cillian realm is sort of a Matryoshka realm where anything can happen. But in Star Trek and Picard, apparently, Plotholes, they go to they read the mind of the girl. They discover that she's also murdered Maddox, and that kind of pisses off Soong's son. But he's made a Gollum robot. Apparently, he shows Girardi this like right after explaining. Shouldn't Girardi immediately be locked in their brig with the bad guy? You would think, because he confessed to being a mass murderer. And apparently, the planet is a little nuts, and they're naive. And, 200 Romulan ships, or 200 and some Romulan warbirds, are heading their way, and Raffi and Rios get wind of that, and they make a witticism for some reason. I guess they're nervous laughter. That we can handle it if there were only 110 of them or something like that. It's like kind of an odd thing for them to say, but I guess if they're in Silly Trek, it totally makes sense. It doesn't make sense in Star Trek. It looks like it's a slow burn episode, though, really, because it's mainly talking. And Spot 2 is introduced, a cat that she made. So Spot 2 is in it. There's a Gollum that's probably going to maybe be a plot device, or maybe that's just a MacGuffin. There's not a Gollum like the one from Lord of the Rings, but rather a synthetic mind transfer robot that's mentioned in dialogue. Probably becomes a thing later on at some point, or they dump it. Now, only one episode left, only 45 to 50 minutes left. They kind of have to wrap things up. So then the two golden-skinned ladies, Arcadia and the other, let Narek out after Soji. Well, Soji confronts him first, and then they let him out, even though they told him not to let him out. They did it anyway. And then it becomes evident that the robots actually want to rebel and kill everybody. So they want to contact the distant land and actually prove them right that the synths on the planet want to destroy the Romulans and all organic life. Picard tries to tell them in a glorified speech, and then other people enter in there. The speech. At one point earlier, though, Raffi confesses he loves Picard. She loves Picard, probably platonically as a an officer and friend. You know, it's not sexual. Before they let Narek out, Soji confronted him and mentioned that he was yeah, essentially, you got a funny way of loving me if you wanted to kill me. Yeah, because he's crazy. I don't know why the hero guys in the story didn't just go all mirror universe on them, because they're not really in the mirror universe, but they claim they are. They wanted to just kill the guy and just say, yes, it was an accident. He accidentally fell into the barrier and went. Psst. Yes, he's in a million pieces now. Charred to a crisp. And she just like grins, and then the other robots look, and they're like, yes. No, they didn't do that. So yeah, what is their, they're okay, and now they're gonna attack the Romulans, and then the Romulan fleet is 24 hours away, and end of the synopsis. Very brief synopsis on part 1. Yeah, so the Cillian story probably be 7 or 8 pages on this one, just because a lot of the dialogue and like revelations is not gonna be like the Riker one where it was a whole episode. It's more like, yeah, there's some stuff going on. And they mentioned Picard's illness, which is a tie-in to All Good Things. That becomes a thing earlier on. So the Synthman thing doesn't make sense, partly because they're trying really hard to make it look like it's a metaphor for like refugees and stuff. They're trying for the political thing, but they're not doing it right. They're doing it more like, we have to all or nothing this one group just to exploit them or something. It's like, why would Starfleet even do that? You would think they'd be like, this trap they set for us is clearly not a conspiracy. It's clearly like an accident or something. Or why would they even have news? That part of it doesn't make sense. Why would they Starfleet suddenly like, one of our planets was attacked, and clearly that's a setup for something, and the Romulans, who are the other refugees in it, want to fight the refugees from the other planet. So they're basically vaguely like, I guess the guys on the planet could be vaguely Syrians, I guess, that are hiding on the planet, and vaguely. And you could say that the Romulan, like, Tal Shiar people are vaguely, like Talibans and maybe some ISIL and some ISIS people or something, and they want to fight the other guys. But it doesn't really work, because what they're doing isn't... They're forcing contemporary ideas that they're just implying without saying it, and yet it's confusing. Yeah, I get it, refugees from different places. But yeah, it's not blatant enough to be literally that. They don't call them that, so you can't have anti-establishment SJS. You can't have right-wingers complaining about the show, because it doesn't go that far enough to actually say this is what these people represent in the story. So that doesn't happen at all. Yes, the Star Trek, the Starfleet must get back together because I say so, is kind of ludicrous. It's kind of ludicrous that it broke up, so it's kind of ludicrous to get back together. Yeah, so unless it's the Cillian saga, where it's supposed to be a spoof of everything, and they do blatantly say stuff that throws it off. Like, there's a race of bad guys called the Elysians in that one. They're named after this girl from Pine Hill. But I changed her name, because the real person wouldn't like that. But yeah. So you could say that these android people on Soong's planet are actually related to the Cillians, I guess, if you wanted to. Sure, why not? In the preview for next week, they didn't show much other than just the Romulan fleet on its way to attack, and then the attack starts. That's all they showed. So they didn't show anything. But here's my out of the ballpark weird prediction. Okay. They have not given us Worf or LaForge, so they won't, unless they're on the bridge of Riker's ship. Riker's gonna come to save them, like at the end of Chimera. that could happen. Riker could show up on the Enterprise F with the original crew, or the TNG crew, and go like, okay, I'm gonna save your butt, Captain Picard, and I brought friends, and like all these like fuck ton of ships come in, and let's start a party, yeah, you know, and it'll just end with a big knockdown, drag out space battle. It probably won't, because that isn't really what they've been doing on this show. But they probably should go all Star Trek Discovery in the end and just have a knockdown, drag out space battle. But yeah, they won't. It would be cool. I'm assuming they're going to have Riker show up and with a ship, with a fleet. And he's going to go, yeah, I got your message and we're going to go to that planet. And if they want to be jerks, they're probably going to kill his family, because that's what they're going to do. But yeah, she's got so the robots, refugee robots, decide to go all ISIL and ISIS, and they did, and a little bit of Iran, a little bit of North Korea, and they decide that they're gonna attack the Romulans and everyone else by contacting these other robots they don't know that are there. Incidentally, yeah, they don't know they're around. I don't know if they're talking about the Q or not. It seems that the Q aren't around anymore. But yeah, it's kind of a mess. They aren't really isolated. They're not really that. They're just kind of implying that's what they're kind of trying to be, like refugee terrorists. But like, they don't have weapons. They just have those flower things. They're gonna get their butts kicked. It's like, yeah, their motivation is like weird. It's just like, well, they are robots. And I don't think the La Serena can hold that whole crew for the planet. There's only about maybe, 40 people there? How big is that ship? It's not that big. And how would that cause the entire universe to come apart? Yeah, the Jod Vash doesn't make sense. Just based on this random planet they went to, it wasn't meant for them, it was meant for the synths. That doesn't make sense. At all. Why would it drive them mad? Why would it drive them to motivate to do a conspiracy to blow up part of Mars? Why would it do that? That doesn't really, even in something like Halo or Mass Effect, it doesn't really make sense. But in that case, it's a game, so you're like, well, you've got to have an antagonist that's all powerful so you can defeat it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was cool to see Brent Spiner playing himself, basically, and yeah. So, well, but it would. Well, it's like, also there's a little bit of a screw up there, because Girardi never mentioned. Oh, by the way, Dr. Soong is on the. There's a Dr. Soong on the planet. There's another one, and yeah, because his son decided to do what he did. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's my review of. It's going to seem like only one half of a thing, because it is. It's one half of an episode. It's in Arcadia, and it has my review. And yeah, we're trapped indoors, but from the COVID isolation. But yeah, there's we don't have it. Just that trapped indoors. So I watched it, and now we're yeah, that's it. And next Thursday is the next one.